How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball. Welcome back to another review of the Premier League just as we break for the international break. And the scores on the doors at the moment are 268 to Sim, 282 to me. And you know already the way the scoring goes. It's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 1 point for assist. 2 points for an assist. I'm even forgetting the way our own scoring works. But that is the way it goes. Obviously, Sim has got a bit of catching up to do. And let's see if he was able to do that in this game week 29. Starting off with Everton. West Ham, it finished 1-1 at Goodison. Sim went for 2-1, as did I. What did you make out of this game? West Ham still flattering to deceive, really.
Yeah, I actually thought they were fairly decent in parts in this game, but it was a very close game. I was watching part of it, and obviously West Ham took the lead. Really nice finish from Soucek, and they looked like they were going to hang on. Everton were putting a bit of pressure on late on, and I don't think they were kind of overly putting West Ham under pressure, but they ended up getting the goal late on. To be fair, it's quite a nice goal in terms of lovely ball to the back post. Idrissa Gueye with a really good volley, and there's O'Brien at the back post to get the header. They got the point and keeps David Moyes' unbeaten run ticking over. I think before the game, would West Ham have taken a point? Probably. I don't think a point would have been the worst result. And I think from Everton's point of view, I know it's another draw. It's not a win, so that's 4 draws in a row now for them. But keeps unbeaten run going. So the positive mood around Moyes continues.
Yeah, but you've got to be a bit frustrated if you're a West Ham fan. Going 1-0 up with 20 minutes to go at a hard place like Goodison, you know, you've got to have your tails up and you've got to hopefully be able to hold on to that lead till the end. They did concede in stoppage time with O'Brien, so I'd be bitterly disappointed if I'm a West Ham fan.
Yeah, and I think they succumbed to the pressure a bit. They were kind of penned back, and I think Potter will be a bit disappointed with how they kind of allowed Everton to have a bit too much ability to put them under pressure in those last kind of few minutes. So that'll be disappointing, but a draw away from home Everton is not the worst result, albeit they were 1-0 up in the 90th minute.
Yeah, but yeah, still, I thought, can West Ham fans be delighted with the way Potter started life at West Ham? I don't think so. I think results haven't really turned that much, to be honest.
No, I think when you're having such a big departure mid-season, it's never going to be an easy turnaround, I think. And I guess what you do expect sometimes, or what has happened, is you get a kind of immediate uptick, and all of a sudden the tactics become a bit of a breath of fresh air, and a bit of, the shackles are released sometimes. That hasn't kind of happened at West Ham so far. It's still been quite similar. They've still been we haven't seen any of that football that Potter likes to play, and he implemented at Brighton, to be fair. I do think recently, obviously, they're not losing as many games as they were, but I think performance-wise, it's still a lot of work to do when it comes to just getting to that football that we've seen under Graham Potter at his previous clubs.
And Everton, 5 draws in their last 6 games.
Yeah.
I mean, they're unbeaten in those 6 games. They got 1 win in there as well against Crystal Palace away, which is obviously a hard place to go. But, I mean, they're the draw specialists in the league now, aren't they?
Well, have Everton only won... How many games actually won under Moyes? Because I can't remember what his first game was. But they've had a lot of draws, haven't they? Yeah. I think they've won 3 games, have they, in the Prem, or 4?
Well, they beat us, they beat Brighton, they beat Leicester, and they beat Crystal Palace.
Okay, so they have had 4 wins then, to be fair, so it's not bad. But yeah, as you say, in their last 6 games, 5 draws. So they are kind of reverting back to how they were under Sean Dyche a bit, but obviously those wins have kept them clear of any trouble, so they needed those wins.
Yeah, they are kind of staying unbeaten, which is credit to them. But after the initial bounce, which pretty much kept them up, they have reverted back to the same kind of results. So
yeah, they need investment in the summer, and I think they need to build around what Moyes is trying to do.
Let's move on to Portman Road. Ipswich 2, Nottingham Forest 4. Both of us going for 2-0 to Forest. And yeah, it was a bit of a bitty game at the beginning, wasn't it? I thought no side really were asking too many questions. And suddenly, out of nowhere, Forest just completely took control. 3 goals, bang, in the space of 5 minutes or something crazy like that. And the game was pretty much done from there. I mean, it was a little bit of a fight back towards the end, but they were never going to overturn that.
No, I mean, they scored with the first one with 10 minutes to go. It was a great goal from Kayuse, by the way. But Forest broke the deadlock with a set piece, which is very Forest-like. But they're so well set up, Forest, they can always got that ability to hit you like at any moment because they're very good on the counter. They're waiting for moments for you to slip up. And I think Ipswich ended up succumbing to that pressure, especially going 1-0 down. I think the pressure got to them, Ipswich, at that point. All of a sudden they felt like, okay, we're 1-0 down. We really need to force the issue and get back in the game. And I think Forest smelt blood at that point and really just rammed home that advantage and that momentum they built. Went 3-0. 2 great finishes from Elanga, by the way. Yeah. To put them 3-0 up, and it was a dead game for after that moment, to be honest, up until Kousa gets a goal of absolutely nothing. But then obviously Forest hit them back pretty immediately, and then they got a consolation after. So brilliant win for Forest after beating Man City last week as well, really cementing their spot at the moment in that top 3, which is exactly what they needed, those 2 wins after some dodgy spells. From Ipswich's point of view, obviously have now fallen 9 points behind Wolves after their win, so yeah, it's looking bad for them. I think again, I'm looking at their team and they're trying their best. They just don't have the quality, do they?
No, they don't. And yeah, we said if it's looking like anyone that's going to stay up, it'd probably be Ipswich, but I think they're all down, to be honest. And I think when you're looking at these 3 clubs, I think it's safe to say they're probably the poorest 3 clubs that we've seen come up from the Championship.
I mean, I look at them and I think points-wise they are, so statistically they are. I just think it's more to do, I don't think it's to do with them being bad. It's more to do, I think, these middle teams being a lot better than they were. So it's a lot harder for these teams to, down fair. The bottom, to go and get points. Like, I watch them, like, I like, for example, like Sheffield United. Are they any like worse than those that team like a couple of years ago? Like,
I'm talking about like the 3 as a whole, though. Like the 3.
Yeah, I guess.
3.
Yeah, I guess.
You're looking at Leicester, right? The results and form that they're on is nothing short of a disgrace. You're looking at Southampton. They're on track to get the lowest points tally ever. So I mean, the 3 as a whole definitely, I think, are the worst 3.
Well, statistically, they are. That's for sure. Yeah, so that's fair to say.
Milenkovic, man, obviously gets a goal this game. He's been unbelievable the whole season for Nottingham Forest. He's been linked to, a few other clubs before he joined Nottingham Forest. No one took the punt on him. I mean, Spurs were heavily linked with him.
I think didn't he have like a medical at West Ham or something?
Yeah, potentially. It was very close. I remember that. But Nottingham Forest are the ones that taken a punt on him, and they're reaping the benefits because people weren't sure of him coming. Was it Fiorentina?
Yeah, he was captain of Fiorentina.
And no one was actually like so sure on him to take the punt. Forest did it, and now they're reaping the benefits.
I think the way they play is perfect for him as well. And he doesn't, because he's quite a tall guy, but he's not the quickest. So you don't really want him on the half turn, but they don't really play like that, Forest. They play a bit deeper, soak up the pressure, and that's perfect for someone like Milenkovic, who can just head those balls away all day, all night. And he's such a threat in the box as well, can play a bit on the floor. Yeah, him and Murillo are a brilliant partnership, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Manchester City against Brighton. It finished 2-2. Sim went for 3-1 to City. I went for 3-2 to Manchester City. Really good game of football, this one, as you would have expected. It was end-to-end to a time. And then I thought at one point, kind of Brighton took control. And then at that point is when Man City hit them.
Yeah, and obviously it was a penalty. Actually, Brighton had that goal ruled out really early on, which was a bit controversial, but I think Ortega probably did have 2 hands on it. But I thought Brighton started that game really quickly, and I think City knew they were in a game early on, but when you got the quality of Marmoush in that front line, you got the quality that City have, at any moment you can never rest, and that's exactly what happened. Marmoush gets in the box, he gets brought down, it's a penalty. But to be fair to Brighton, they didn't let it affect them. Cepignan gets a really good free kick, makes it 1-1, but a brilliant finish from Marmoush from 25 yards, put them Man City 2-1 up. Brilliant goal. And you're thinking at that point City are going to go on and win this game now. But Brighton again, after being pegged back twice, just kept playing their game. Got a bit of luck with the equaliser, but if anyone was looking to win it, I mean, they had that amazing chance of Belay late on, didn't they? Which they really could have won it. Brighton, they'd be kicking themselves. I mean, Man City also were putting them under pressure. It was kind of a basketball game near the end.
It was a game where I think either side could have won it, really. Both of them had, gilt-edged chances. Both of them could have scored more than 2 goals. Really good game of football. I think, yeah, Brighton would have been disappointed to go behind early on because they were the better team at that moment in time. But, City grew in the game and created chances of themselves. So I think on the balance of play, maybe Brighton just about edged it. But I think probably a draw was a fair result in the end.
Yeah, it's not a great draw for City because obviously it leaves them only a point ahead of Newcastle. Newcastle, after winning that Carabao, have a game in hand. Brighton, obviously, they're on amazing form right now. And we said at the beginning of the season, that squad depth they got in the forward line, I think at the moment they seem to be reaping the benefits of that, because they seem to be kind of really being able to score goals, where they went through that period, didn't they, midway through the season, where they were really struggling to win lots of games and went through a long winless stretch in the middle of the season. They've come through it. They're now, I think 7 unbeaten. I think they are in all comps. This ended their winning streak, but a draw at the Etihad is nothing to be sniffed at. Yeah. They'll appreciate it. And they're right in the fight there for that top 4. And that top 4, I mean, Man City are by no means clear of that. I mean, they're in a real battle for that.
Brighton, only 1 point behind them?
Yeah, I mean, you got Villa in 9th, who are only 3 points behind.
Yeah, mad. this like 4th, well, even, like 4th down to 10th is just crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the next game, which was Southampton against Wolves. It finished 2-1 to Southampton. We both went for 2-1 to Wolves. We both went 2-1 to Wolves. And yeah, it was hard to see Southampton taking anything from this game, to be honest, even though Wolves are the ones closest to the relegation zone. But I think this win, again, I think we say it every week, but the results that Wolves keep getting are just getting them further and further away from the drop. No Cunha, no problem for Wolves as Strand Larsen steps up with 2 goals.
Yeah, and that's the first time they've won without Cunha scoring a goal. So they needed to get that monkey off their back, and they did that. Obviously, a really nice couple of goals from Strand Larsen, one really good header and a good finish inside the box, clinical finish from the edge of the area into the corner. I think, obviously, going into this game, there was no real worry that Wolves would win, but actually I do think Southampton gave them a really good game, like they do with a lot of teams. Then they got back in the game late on, and it looked like maybe they could get an equaliser, but they just didn't have enough in them to get themselves over the line. Obviously they know they're down at this point. There's no way of saving themselves, so I think at this point they're just playing for pride. But Wolves obviously had a lot to play for. Now it's 9 points, and they'll feel really comfortable at this point. I think they're closer now to 16th than they are to 18th, which hasn't been that way for a while. So they'll be delighted with that. Obviously, until it's mathematically possible, they're not going to completely feel comfortable, and they're going to still feel like they need maybe a win or two just to seal it. But at this point, Ipswich are 3 wins away from them, and they've only won 3 games all season. So when those stats start coming out, you're like, is it ever realistic they're going to get caught?
And Cunha's back next game.
So this is a big win for them for their season, and they should be safe now. We'll be seeing them in the Premier League for another year.
Let's move on to the late kickoff on the Saturday, which was Bournemouth against Brentford. It finished 2-1 to Brentford, and the away wins for Brentford keep on running. And this is a really impressive one at the Vitality, where Bournemouth are obviously a very strong side. We both went for 2-2. And to be fair, it could have been on the day. I mean, it was a good tactical game of football. I thought Bournemouth did start the better of the two, and they forced the own goal. They go 1-0 up. And then Brentford score against the run of play, and you're like, oh, is this game turning once again, as Brentford like to do? They got the second goal in the second half, and I was a bit disappointed with Bournemouth after it went 1-1.
Yeah, I think Brentford were good, but they weren't like exceptional. I think they just picked their moments, didn't they, to kind of hurt Bournemouth, and they were clinical on the day, with Wissa hitting back fairly soon after the own goal brought Bournemouth the lead, and then Norgard late on with a nice goal, and obviously a brilliant win to go to Bournemouth away, never easy, and to get the win there for a Brentford side this season, which I think, as you said, the away form's really flipped. They're doing unbelievable away from home now. At the moment, it seems to suit them playing away from home with the way they play under Thomas Frank. So fantastic win. But yeah, Bournemouth 5 games in all competitions without a win now. So
yeah, something seems a bit off at the moment with Bournemouth. They're not playing like the way that they have been playing pretty much all season. I don't know what's really going on with them.
Yeah, I don't know if are the injuries catching up to them. Are they running out of energy? It's hard to put your finger on. Maybe they're just going through a bit of an inconsistent spell right now. I didn't watch them thinking they're terrible, but they struggled obviously to break Brentford down.
I didn't watch them think they're terrible. I just watched them and say they don't have that usual excitement that they have about them. That's what I watched thinking.
Yeah, I think again as well, they like coming up against teams like when they're going to Newcastle away, that Newcastle are going to attack them. They kind of like the open space.
I'm looking at their team, and I mean they've got all their best players there. They're not really suffering too much with injuries. I'm looking at who they've got out. They've got Uno out, Adam Smith, Marcos Senesi, and Julian Arango. I mean, that shouldn't make too much of a difference.
Yeah, they're just getting a lot of their players back. Evan Nilsson just came back recently. Zabrani just came back from a ban. Yeah, I don't think you can blame on injuries, to be honest. they're just on bad form, I guess.
Yeah. Let's go to the London derby at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Chelsea 0. Both of us went for 1-1. Not a game for the neutral, is it, this one? I think Arsenal just pretty much played it out as they've been playing all season, really. Boring, 1-0 win, got the job done.
Goal from a corner.
For the first time in a while, to be honest. And Mikel Merino on the score sheet again.
Yeah, it was a nice header. I didn't see too much of it because obviously I was at the Spurs game, but I think from Arsenal's point of view, just good to keep that good feeling after going through in the Champions League. So they kind of, I think they want to try and build some sort of momentum going to that Madrid game coming after the international break. I don't know if this was a performance to convince anyone that they're going to, get past Madrid or anything, but they needed to get the win. Chelsea, after two good wins against Southampton and Leicester, obviously the performances weren't amazing, but they got the wins just to keep them in that top four. I mean, it was a bit like, I think they really suffered with no Cole Palmer. You can see with no Palmer, they really struggled for creativity, and obviously they were going to struggle to create against Arsenal at the Emirates at the best of times, and without Palmer there, I think that was kind of what sealed it.
Yeah, Arsenal have just had this knack pretty much all season of playing like this and just about getting over the line, haven't they?
Yeah, for sure. It reminds me a bit of the season kind of when we were under Poch. Like, I know maybe we were a bit worse because we were battling for top four, but like that season we kind of just dragged ourselves to top four, like not playing that well, but just kept getting these wins. And I think when you're together a lot, you've got that ability to do that. I think as a team, like you've known each other for so long. Even if you're not playing well, if you keep things solid, you always back yourself to get that chance to score.
It reminds me of they've had a whole season pretty much of like our first 3 games under Nuno. We just kept getting these 1-0 wins, not playing well, getting over the line, and then the results we thought they were going to change, and they did. But for Arsenal, they just never really have.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of fans now, obviously that was their game in hand. They won 12 points behind Liverpool. A lot of people saying, Carabao, they look tired. PSG, they look tired. Lost both those games. Obviously, they now only have the league to play for because they're out of the FA Cup and Europe. So there only is 1 game a week now for Liverpool to the end of the season. But is there any kind of worry for Liverpool that Arsenal won that game, they closed the gap by 3 points, and they are looking a bit leggy?
They are definitely looking leggy. I mean, I think PSG outplayed them over the course of 2 legs. Newcastle bullied them for 90 minutes pretty much in the Carabao Cup final. I've never seen them get bullied like that. So pretty much Liverpool all season, you haven't seen them dominated in the last 2 games against PSG and Newcastle, and you've seen them done it all season. So I think obviously they're not going to be coming up against these kind of teams every week. I think what do they need? They need 5 more wins or 4 more wins, and you need Arsenal to win all those games. I still can't see Liverpool slipping up here.
I mean, so they're 12 points behind Arsenal with 9 games to go. So, yeah, you would need Liverpool to at least lose 4 games probably.
And Arsenal needs to win all of those games.
Yeah, so I still think it's a tall order. I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool drop points in a few games, but I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal do either. Yeah. And that's the main thing.
I could potentially see, I don't know what the fixtures are, but I could potentially see like Liverpool losing their next game and Arsenal winning their next game, and Arsenal be like, we're back in it, and then probably Arsenal lose their next game after that.
Yeah, probably, exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they get a little glimmer of hope and it gets snatched away very quickly.
Yeah. Fulham against Tottenham, it finished 2-0 to Fulham at Craven Cottage. Both of us went for Fulham wins, but 2-1. I mean, I thought Spurs actually, we made 7 changes first of all. We came out, I thought, in the first 5 minutes with a bit of intensity. Then very soon after that, Fulham kind of dominated the possession, had Spurs kind of penned back in their own half. No real chances at either end. The second half came. Spurs make 2 changes. Spurs looked the more dominant of the team, penning Fulham back a little bit. And then Romero goes off and it all kind of changes. Fulham get that goal kind of against the run of play, and then they seal it off at the end with Ryan Sessegnon of all people.
Yeah, and it's just another game that Tottenham let get away from them, where they were definitely in the game at that point, and it looked like if anyone was going to score really, probably Tottenham were more likely, but they conceded in that moment after Romero goes off, and it really cost them. And that's 15 defeats for Tottenham this season. They're currently 10 points behind Bournemouth, who are 10th at the moment. So it's just another another horrendous kind of day for Spurs. I don't think this performance was the worst we've seen, like in recent weeks, but it was obviously, at the end of the day, it's another defeat, and it's another kind of another kind of stick to beat Ange with when it comes to whether he should be in a job, and that's going to be the talk until he starts either winning games consistently or whenever we go in the Europa League. I do think he's going to get that Europa League run, and a lot of it's all basically on that. He has to basically get to at least probably a final or I don't know when the second leg of the semi is, but he has to at least get to that final probably to justify having any talk about him staying at the moment. But the league form, he's made a lot of changes. He's obviously prioritising that Europa League, and I think that kind of cost us a bit, especially late in the game when we're managing Romero's minutes. And I think if we had probably two centre-backs in that game, at that point, we probably don't concede those goals. But that's just where Tottenham are at the moment. But fair play to Marco Silva, made the changes himself. Both two subs scored for him, didn't he? Yeah. Silva and Sessegnon. So he made those changes and it paid off for him.
Muniz and Sessegnon, yeah.
Yeah, Muniz and Sessegnon,
yeah. So let's move on to the last.
And by the way, Fulham, 3 points behind fifth.
I know, 3 points behind fifth, 4 points behind fourth.
Any chance?
Of course, there's a chance if they can put a run together from now to the end of the season. But the next two games are Arsenal and Liverpool, so we have to wait and see what happens after that.
Fair play.
Last game was Leicester against Manchester United at the King Power. Leicester 0, Manchester United 3. I went for 1-0, Sim went for 2-1, so we both get a point on the board here. I mean, Leicester had a few chances in this game. Jamie Vardy probably should have put the ball in the back of the net, but I thought some goals.
Buonanotte had a big chance.
Yeah, Buonanotte as well. But, Man United did show a bit of quality with the goals that they scored.
They did, and they deservedly won the game. They just had that little bit of quality.
Bruno Fernandes, basically.
Yeah, Bruno. Garnacho got on the score sheet as well.
But, I mean, Bruno, 2 assists and a goal on the day. Hoyland with an unbelievable finish for his first goal. Bruno, his goal was a great finish as well. Garnacho had a few chances to score, finally got on the score sheet. I just thought it was basically quality that got them through the game. Yeah,
the game was in the balance for the first 35 minutes or so, but as soon as United scored, there was only really going to be one winner. And considering as well, Leicester set a record, 7 games at home losing without scoring, 7 in a row, which is absolutely shambolic, to be fair. Haven't scored a goal since they beat Tottenham, whenever that was, in January or whatever.
Is that right?
Yeah, haven't scored since then.
Leicester's form, though, under Ruud van Nistelrooy has been nothing short.
So much worse than Cooper.
Disgrace. So much worse.
So much.
It makes you think, I
think they would have had a fighting chance if they kept Cooper, to be honest.
I think so. Because you look at their squad,
I know it's not great,
but they do have some Premier League quality players.
I think most of their points they've still got from Cooper. Yeah. I think 10 of their points are from the Cooper time.
I think they've got 4 points under Ruud.
Yeah, I think since he's come, because I think a bit more. I think 10 points have been under Cooper, and I think 7 of them under Ruud.
7, 2 wins and a draw.
Yeah. So it's really been a terrible appointment, let's be honest, and it's really been shambolic. Man United, look, to be fair, backing up a good win against Sociedad with a good win away at Leicester, so they'll be happy with that. I don't think winning away at Leicester is going to kind of convince anyone, but I think backing up that with a win against Sociedad is good.
I think they've beaten Leicester with 3 different managers this season.
Yeah.
I think Ten Hag beat them once. I think Ruud beat them a couple of times. No, maybe Ten Hag didn't even beat them, but Ruud actually beat Leicester twice, didn't he? Ruud knocked Leicester out the FA Cup or the
I think Cup. And won a league game against them.
Yeah, and now Amorim's done it as well.
Yeah, but in terms of Leicester, no chance. They're doing anything. Albeit it's quite amazing they're on the same points as Ipswich, because I feel like Ipswich have been so much better than them, but. Yeah, so that's kind of maybe Ipswich don't get enough criticism how bad they've been as well.
Yeah. Let's finish off talking about the star men. Sim went for Omar Mamouche, who obviously got a quality goal. I went for
Strand. He won a penalty as well. He looked like he was going to score and he get brought down, so that was a bit annoying.
Got an FPL assist for it, though.
Got an FPL assist. We should be doing FPL assists, I've always said.
And I got Strand Larsen, who got 2 goals on the day. I knew it. Cunha not playing. Strand Larsen had to step up and get the goals, and that's exactly what he did. So we end up this week 19-point difference. Sim's got 281. I've got 300. A little break now for the internationals, and then we'll be back for the real business end of the season. I hope you've got enough star men to go through.
Oh, you bet. I've got some tricks up my sleeve. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
All right. No Lucas Moura last day of the season this year.
We'll have to wait and see.
All right. So there you have it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we will see you next time.